but hopefully
Is Abby the phone that's logged in, the 617 number?
I don't know. Abby, is that you? 617-314?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out. If it's her, she's trying to figure out how to unmute it.
Yeah, we really should know who that is.
That is Abby.
That is Abby. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's Abby. I'll rename
Excellent.
her.
Great, guys. Welcome to the Planning Board, December 11th, 2023. We're using Zoom in this meeting, which allows for the public to participate in the meeting as an attendee. The chair can request the members of the public provide their names for the purpose of keeping accurate minutes of the meeting. Attendees must register to participate. The registration link is unique to the meeting. The registration link can be found in the description of the government TV YouTube feed. Attendees will join in listening mode and can raise their hand if they wish to speak. The chair will call on those who have raised their hands in the order they are raised. All questions should be directed through the chair. Confirming member asks as a primary matter. This is the planning board. I'm David Iverson, the chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Nat.
Here.
Gary.
Here.
John.
Here.
Joe.
Present.
Alternate. John.
Here.
And Abby. Abby, can you unmute? Oh, we have your name now. All right, I will circle back. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen Welch, I forgot you.
No, you know what's going on in your head, David Iverson. Here.
Thank you. Okay, back to staff. When I call your name, please tell me that you're here. Megan.
Here.
Billy.
Here.
Todd and Catherine and Sarah.
Here.
Thank you. This is an open meeting. It's being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 to ensure public access does not ensure public participation unless the participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting is convened by video Zoom as posted on the town's website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks will be able to see you and to take care not to share your screen. Anything you broadcast will be captured in the recording. All meeting materials that have been provided by members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they've concluded their remarks, the chair will go down the line of the members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, question, or motions. Please hold until your name is called further. Please remember to mute your phone and computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. Meg, we're going to limit public comment to or public speaking to 2 or 3 minutes. Is there I know you had a training on that the other day.
So it's your call. I believe the select board does 3 minutes.
Okay.
Right? They do 3?
Yes.
So, okay, we'll do 3. Great. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by John, seconded by Joe. John.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
Barry.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Minutes. Did everyone get a chance? Any questions or issues with the minutes?
Yeah. Motion to approve the minutes is submitted.
Second.
A motion made by Barry, seconded by Nat. Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Great. Next, we'd like to welcome the WPI students for a presentation on Soul Smart.
Good evening to the board. Lauren Sinatra, Energy Coordinator for the town. I thank you for your time tonight. I'm pleased to introduce a student team from WPI who has been working with me over the last few months on a project to designate Nantucket as the first municipality on the Cape and Islands to achieve National Soul Smart designation. The WPI students are here tonight to briefly present more about the Soul Smart program, its benefits, and how the town is now poised to achieve Soul Smart status as a national solar leader as early as next month. So with that, I ask Alana, Brendan, Daniel, and Grace to please take it away. Thanks so much.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share this screen.
Hello, my name is Grace Phillip.
I'm Alana Reed.
And I'm
I'm
Brendan.
Daniel Brower.
And I'm Brendan Feiner.
Thank you so much for your time and your busy agenda to hear our presentation about the zoning review that Soul Smart's representatives conducted for Nantucket's bylaws. This presentation is part of Nantucket's path to Soul Smart status. Soul Smart status is part of the National Soul Smart program that recognizes municipalities who have demonstrated solar leadership. There are over 500 nationally designated municipalities with Soul Smart status, coming in one of 4 varieties: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Although no communities have been designated at the platinum level at this time, and the other 3 are roughly evenly distributed about the 500 communities. Nantucket is working to achieve a silver status.
As you can see here, this is a map of the nearby Soul Smart designated communities in Massachusetts and the surrounding areas. Seen in this circle here, there are no communities within the Cape and Islands that have this designation, which would make Nantucket the first. Take that, Martha's Vineyard.
Sorry. Nantucket is a solar leader. Even though it may seem like Nantucket's status as a historic district and its protections around what can be constructed would prevent it from having a clear process to install solar panels, Nantucket has already implemented programs to facilitate solar development and completed numerous residential and commercial solar installations. Depicted here are a few of the over 200 residential solar installations on the island. The Historic District Commission, which oversees every publicly visible construction on the island, wrote these solar guidelines in 2009 to clarify how to install solar panels without disrupting the historic character of the island. Visible here are markers of every solar installation on the island to date. When a year-round resident of Nantucket installs solar on their residence, they can receive up to $6,000 in the form of a local solar rebate, funded by the Nantucket Power Choice program. Since 2017, the local rebate has given over $500,000 back to the community, with qualifying installations producing over a megawatt of power. Nantucket has also completed a large commercial solar installation at the Surfside Wastewater Treatment Plant in the summer of 2023. The installation consists of 232 solar panels producing over 100 kilowatts of power, and it is expected to offset over 100 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year. Visible here is a graph of new solar installations by year. As we can see, there is a clear upward trend over time. All this admirable work that the town of Nantucket has done puts it in a prime position to obtain Soul Smart Silver designation, so long as it could complete the prerequisite criteria for bronze and silver. Desiring recognition Desiring recognition of these efforts and more, Nantucket published a solar statement, which is in your packet, announcing its further commitment to facilitating solar installations. Then, SolSmart performed a review to determine where Nantucket's code and bylaws did and did not adhere to solar best practices. Nantucket has completed most of the requirements to achieve silver designation. As part of the process to achieving silver, our goal today is to complete a review of the SolSmart bylaw review with the town planners, and thereby earn additional recognition with SolSmart. With all Nantucket has done, silver is attainable in early 2024.
A SolSmart representative performed a review of Nantucket's code to assess it for best practices, possible barriers and gaps related to solar installation. They provided 8 recommendations in order to improve the transparency of Nantucket's processes, clarify development standards, and enhance the locally compliant solar market.
So as for the specifics of the bylaw recommendations, these were given by SolSmart and are visible in the memo, the zoning review memo in your packet. The first was purpose or intent. The code currently doesn't state a purpose or intent for including solar-related bylaws within the code, such as to improve solar energy emission by the island or production by the island. The second was definitions. There was a lack of definitions for small-scale solar energy systems, and additionally, there are clarifications that would need to be put in regarding roof versus ground-mounted solar for the definitions within the code. Third was roof-mounted accessory solar. The code does not explicitly state that these are a by right or accessory use in all major districts, which would be a best practice to put in the code. Last week, Paul Murphy, the zoning officer, did sign a zoning clarification letter stating that this is a by right accessory use, and getting it codified at annual town meeting would be an additional step to bring Nantucket towards a gold status for SolSmart in the future. And then for roof-mounted solar height, roof-mounted solar energy systems are not exempt from the height restrictions in the town code, and allowing these to be exempt from the height restrictions would adhere to best practices for solar. As for the remaining 4, the first one was ground-mounted accessory use solar, which it's recommended that they be allowed by right in at least one zoning district. There is the solar energy overlay district on the island, which does allow primary use ground-mounted solar by right, but it doesn't allow accessory use. For ground-mounted solar setbacks, the recommendation is codifying these setback standards within the town code, as they are currently absent. For ground-mounted solar placement, it's recommended that placement standards be put within the town code. For example, saying something along the lines of ground-mounted solar should be placed on the side or the rear yard of the property. And finally, that ground-mounted solar lot coverage and impervious surface standards are not covered, and are rather that they're not exempt. And it's recommended that ground-mounted solar should be exempt from from lot coverage and impervious surface standards, especially if there's vegetation underneath it. For Nantucket's codified best practices that SolSmart identified, it did identify section 139.12 of the town code, the solar energy overlay district, as I mentioned before, which does allow primary use solar by right, and was adopted in 2019 at the annual town meeting as a prerequisite for Nantucket's green communities designation. And additionally, in the solar energy overlay district, the ground-mounted solar is permitted to exceed the 32-foot height limitation. Additionally, SolSmart identified no further developments to solar development within the code itself.
Looking at our next steps in the SolSmart designation process, we now have completed the review of the bylaw recommendations. There are a few remaining tasks to complete before Nantucket earns its designation, likely in January of 2024. And to further benefit the town's solar installation process, the town can seek to earn SolSmart Gold status. To earn this, the town would need to complete these 2 tasks, codifying by right accessory use into the town's zoning code at an annual town meeting, and guarantee that the required permits for solar can be turned around in 2 months. Lastly, we want to end by recapping some of the key points of the presentation. Firstly, we want to express that Nantucket is a solar energy leader. The island has over 200 residential solar installations, and that number continues to grow. The Energy Office is constantly identifying ways to improve the solar permitting and installation process. Earning a Soul Smart designation helps to promote and recognize the work that the town has accomplished, which leads us into the next point that the town is in great position to earn silver designation by January of the new year. Lastly, Soul Smart completed a zoning review of the town zoning code and identified recommendations of how the town can improve solar-related bylaws. These recommendations provide clear and transparent standards for the development and use of solar energy on Nantucket. And with that, we would like to again thank you for taking the time during your busy schedule for listening to our presentation. Sorry. Any questions?
Thank you, WPI, again for a lot of work you guys do every year, and usually ends in a good presentation to us. Nat, do you have a question?
Yeah. First of all, thank you guys very much. This was really good. Really good. Lauren, hi. Solar arrays count against ground cover? I mean, Leslie, I didn't ask her because I just wanted to go right to you. Is that true?
I don't believe so, but I think the point of the zoning review was where we could clarify language.
So we need to do some housekeeping stuff, but we would have known that if that was true. That would have already been, come to staff to get that fixed at town meeting if that was the case. So I just wanted to make sure that that was not actually true. So thank you very much.
Yeah, they just said now they have to abide by those setbacks.
Well, the setback issues.
I know, but it's not ground cover. It's
not like it. So Joe. So they can't. I'm glad you chimed in, Joe, because you know all this stuff. So you can't put them in like you can say for the decks, the stuff for a swimming pool. What is the stone? So these can't go in a setback.
Correct.
Hmm.
I actually think there was a variance of the ZBA a couple of years ago because they were
the amount of things that can go in the setback, trash bin stuff. There's a lot of stuff that can. I think that needs to be looked at in some districts, at least, not necessarily residential zones, but maybe the lug zones or something where there's a huge amount of area there. Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nat. John.
Thank you, guys. That's a great education for all of us, me in particular, on solar. And I understand very clearly what all the benefits are. But if you had to say in a few words, what are the real benefits of, say, silver designation versus platinum? What is it that our island would, get? What concrete benefits do we get from that, other than more smarter rules?
So the main goal of SoulSmart really is to give you an incentive to do the work towards the designations. So the difference between the statuses is that each requires a higher level of specific things that need to happen to streamline the solar process. So for, say, the difference between silver and gold, for example, is that for silver, you just have to put out like a memo saying, oh, well, it's by right, but it's not necessarily codified in the codes. But if you want to get gold, you would have to actually make sure that that is set in law. That's the difference, is less about the benefits per tier and more about how much have you done.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, John Trudell.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, all that presented the information. It's very informative and also refreshing to see a young group working its way towards the future and setting some parameters and goals. It's amazing to think where we were 30 years ago and where we are now with solar on the island. I think it was pretty much non-existent 30 years ago. I guess my one question is similar to John's, but a little bit different. I noticed there are only two parameters separating the difference between silver and gold. One of them being to codify by right in the building code, the other being a 3-day permit process. And I guess as a two-part question, is it possible to be a little flexible? Only because we're a little unique on the island in historic preservation, and we have what we call the HDC, Historic District Commission, and it doesn't take 3 days to approve something like that. So unless there's a by consent rule for the HDC, we're never going to achieve gold. In essence, we'll never achieve platinum because of that caveat of the 3 days. So if there's any flexibility, or is this a state mandated, federally mandated, I guess, direction that we have to follow? So I appreciate any insight that you might have. Thank you.
So our initial thoughts on that were essentially that we may have to bargain with SolSmart on that. Basically, given that for solar, you need a building permit, electrical permit, and the HDC certificate of appropriateness. It could theoretically be argued that the certificate of appropriateness isn't technically a permit for the 3-day permit turnaround time, whereas the building and electrical permits are. And we're confident that a 3-day turnaround time for the building and electrical permit is possible.
Thank you.
To clarify, there are additional separations between silver and a gold status, but Nantucket has achieved so many of the criteria towards a gold status. You must have 100 points. They have a point system. It's a long story for silver status and 200 for gold status. Nantucket already has above 200 points. So the only thing holding it back from the gold status is those two prerequisites.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great presentation to you all. One thing I do want to say is the HCC is coming around. But I also think that solar panels are not quite as bulky and massive, and they're a little bit sexier now, if you will. But I really want to say that it's just positive that we're going in this direction. The other part I love is that in the state code now, you have to provide the piping or whatever from your attic space down in your basement or your mechanical room. I love that is there. I have one in my house that 20 years ago. I'd like to be using it someday soon, but I think that's a really key part of that. Not seeing a pipe farm outside of a building, being able to go directly down to mechanical room really will help as far as bring down cost and help streamline some stuff. So I love that the state code is already a step ahead of this. And then I think work with the HCC, the problem is it is a lot by lot basis in the district and where you are, which you all know. But I will say that they've been, this is probably the most liberal board as far as getting any solar panels approved. And I think that they are very thoughtful in their way. And I think that the representatives of solar on Nantucket have been doing a great job of anticipating or designing in a way that is very thoughtful in Nantucket. So keep doing what you're doing. Very happy. And it's every year you guys, it's got to be 15 years. I've been watching your presentation. They're always excellent. You always do an amazing presentation. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Barry.
Thank you. I just want to say excellent presentation. I really do appreciate it. On that note, I'd like to make a motion at this point that the chair be authorized to send out a letter of thanks for the work, the presentation, and the guidance that they've given us in this project. And again, like I said, personalized to each student as well too, so that can be part of their resume for the future. It's stellar work, but that's my motion, sir.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second that as long as it stays as a living document. They keep advancing.
Okay, motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Very good job, ladies and gents, as usual. I think all of your presentations are spot on and very helpful information for us. So much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All righty, guys and ladies and gents. So we're going to move on to second dwellings garage apartments and tertiaries. Does anyone have to pull or have a question on any of these? Or need to recuse?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make one clarification.
Yes.
We will need to add a condition to the two applications for 12 Knobsco Way, that it may require additional relief from the ZBA. But we need to add that one condition, and other than that, we
Okay.
recommend approval.
So that can go in without, we can continue on as a consent and that will go in, correct?
Yes.
Bill? Okay, perfect. Okay, so for secondary dwellings, we have 14 Creel Lane, 150 Surfside Road, 43 Fairgrounds Road, 5 Dennis Ave, 108 Surfside Road, a portion of. We have lots D and F at 12 Knobsco Way, and we have 232 Matticat Road. Those are second dwellings. For a garage apartment, we have 25 Willard Street, and for a tertiary, we have 44 Monahanset Road. Entertain a motion on the Barry.
Yeah, I'll make a motion at this point that we approve the aforementioned list of secondary garage and tertiary dwellings with the findings and conditions as written in the draft report.
Second.
Great. Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. On to A&Rs. Do we have any recusals or questions or any pullouts here?
I think we just have to see that 14 Trip get moved to pulled out from this for public hearing.
14 Trip will be continued, so I'm going to skip right over that one.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone else good?
Um,
I'm going to read them off, so I just want to make sure we don't have any recusals or questions before we get there.
Right.
Okay, great. So for A&Rs, we have 43 West Maya Comet. We have
48.
I'm sorry, 48. We have 8 Wall Street, 11 Equator Drive, 51 West Maya Comet, 55 Fairgrounds Road, 9 Cherry Street, 12 Sleepy Hollow Road / 74 Somerset. We have 4 Dolphin Court, 6 and 8 North Beach Street. We have 1, 3, and 5 Hinkley Lane, and then we have New Whale Street, portion thereof, NIR. Barry?
I'll make a motion at this point that we endorse all the aforementioned A&Rs that you brought up at this point in accordance with what staff recommends as well.
second.
Great. Motion made by Barry, seconded by John. Barry?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. On to previous plans. Where's my previous plans? We have White Elephant Village Form J. Billy?
So the applicant is requesting re-endorsement of lots 4 through 15 within the subdivision. The Form Js were previously endorsed by the board, but this sort of coincided with COVID. So I believe it was never recorded and it kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Mm-hmm.
Barry, you got someone?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we endorse the Form Js for the White Elephant Village.
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Next is the Pro Conti Group LLC.
So the applicant here, they withdrew at last month's meeting, and Ed Pesci did submit his final invoice. So the remaining balance, he's recommending that it be released, and so is staff.
Great. Question from staff? I mean, for the staff. Awesome. Entertain a motion, please.
I'll give that motion.
Second.
All right, great. Motion made by Joe, second by Barry. Joe?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Great. On to public hearings, we have the first four are continued. That'd be Daniel Galt, 12 Essex Road, continued. Stephen Cohen, 8 Wallbang, continued. John Calnan, trustee, 21 Brewster Road, continued, and 14 Trip Drive, continued.
And
So-
also, 9 Hinsdale is going to be continued as well.
Oh,
So 14 Trip and 9 Hinsdale were not listed on the agenda, both to be continued.
Great.
Okay.
motion to continue then.
Yep. Second.
Okay, motion made by Barry, seconded by Nat. Barry,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Maybe we should take a break. This is going way too fast.
Can I just, Mr.
Just
Chairman,
jinxed
just
us,
ask,
baby.
Yes, Nat.
just real quick, Megan, should we be changing that action deadline on that 9 Hinsdale, or just forget it for now? Just since it's like, okay, just
Yeah,
checking.
you can just leave
Oh,
it.
wait a minute, that's February. Never mind, never mind, never mind.
We got
Never
time.
mind. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Great.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Nat, you are recusing.
Recused on the next one. But no, I'm not recused on 129 Orange
Okay, you're recused at 31
and 11.
and 11. Okay, great.
Yep.
All right, so we're on to Island Orange Group LP, 129 Orange Street.
Afternoon, Dan Malloy for the applicant.
Welcome, Dan.
So, good afternoon, Hatches. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with the property already. So it's a very simple application, just an amendment to the MCD. So if anyone's been in the back side of that building where all the deliveries, dumpsters, all the backroom kind of work takes place, doesn't work that well. So we're looking to put a loading bay, an external loading bay building kind of sticking out on the side of the building so the trucks can back right up, safely unload and pull right out. Right now they have a multi-point turn just to get in there, try to turn, cars parked in the way. And wetland encroachments, it just gets very difficult how it's laid out right now. So it's really just an ease of access, ease of use, no expansion of the use whatsoever. And then in terms of site improvements, looking to do some sidewalk improvements, bike racks, essentially trying to make the property a little more pedestrian friendly in the front and the access to the road. What else? On top of that, I know there was a comment, I think one of Ed Pesci's comments was to do with conservation. The Conservation Commission has already reviewed and approved it. So this work is, there is an order of conditions for that. And I believe there were a couple of DPW comments regarding the sidewalk, how it interacts with Orange Street. We have no problems adjusting the plan accordingly. And that is the application.
Great, thank you. Questions from the board? Great. How would you like to proceed? Barry?
You want to
Open it
the
up?
public hearing at this point, I believe, if we've got no questions.
Let's open it up.
Thank
Do we have anyone out there?
There are no hands currently raised.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. All righty. What would you like to do, gentlemen?
Motion to approve with findings and conditions.
Second.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Barry. Joe,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Good job, Dan.
All right, on to 31 Old South Road. Nat is recused on this. And that's Dan Malloy again.
Evening again. So 31 Old South Road, fairly simple application again. We have a building that's just finishing construction, if anybody's had a chance to stop by and see anything over there. We've got a mixed-use building. We've got a first floor office, commercial space. We have 2 apartments on the second floor of the building. In the basement, we have some additional commercial space down there, and we're asking the board to grant us permission to put a 3rd apartment in the basement level. Under the zoning bylaw, the board is allowed to grant, looking for a lot area. We need 3,000 square feet of lot area per apartment. And that would put us at 9,000 square feet required. We have 8,211. So we're just under 800 square feet shy of having the 3rd apartment. So we're asking the board to grant relief under the special permit to allow a third apartment on the property and waiving the lot area requirement. We are providing the required parking on the property. There's no other relief requested. And it is an allowed permit that the planning board can grant.
Great, thank you, Dan. Questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, John.
I'm familiar with the lot, and generally I'd have a lot to say about certain requirement size. As I often do with tertiary, I'm glad that our tertiary is removed to 900 square feet. But this particular one, it's the opposite. I don't have an issue with it. I know it's a little undersized, but it's creating another apartment, which in this particular area is not a high priced ticket. This is more or less going to provide year-round housing. So for that reason, I do not have an issue. I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
John, very good points. Thank you. Any other board member before we go to the public? All right, Billy, what do we have in the public?
No one has their hand raised.
All righty. Great. Entertain a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing, sir.
Second.
Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Nat. Oh, sorry. That's not Nat. Me. I'm a yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, we will need to activate an alternate on this one.
All righty. Let's John Kitchener.
Aye.
Perfect. You're sitting on this now, my friend.
And with that, I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Please.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve with the 3 findings and 2 conditions listed by staff.
Oh, 2, yeah.
Second.
Was that you, Barry, seconding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Motion made by John, seconded by Barry. John.
Aye.
Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
John Kitchener.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
21 Amelia Drive, Sarah and Paul. You want to introduce this to us, Billy? Oh, here's Paul. Welcome, Paul.
Oh, thank you. Paul Santos with Nantucket Surveyors on behalf of the property owner and applicant 21 Amelia Drive LLC. This is an application for an amendment to a previously granted special permit. This board granted an MCD special permit for this project back in August of 2021. The applicant is respectfully requesting that the special permit be modified to include approximately 1,100 square feet of gross floor area, which would be dedicated to personal services under the use chart definition, with approximately 4 to 6 employees on peak shift. The approved special permit set forth 2,085 square feet of gross floor area designated to specifically office space, with a waiver of section 139.11H for an inclusionary unit at that time. That was granted at that time. The special permit amendment request, the applicant will set aside 1 dwelling unit for employee occupancy in lieu of providing the additional 2 parking spaces we are requesting a waiver for the retail stores and services component of the application. The applicant is respectfully requesting as part of this amendment, a waiver of section 139(18)(b) for the requirement of an additional 2 parking spaces on the property. I did submit a parking summary for the proposed project. The personal services or retail use component does not change the parking requirement with regard to the number of spaces for the square footage. Office and retail both require 200 square feet, 1 space per 200 square feet of gross floor area. So that number stays the same. The personal services, what that does is adds 1 space for each 3 employees on peak shift. So by adding the personal services component, the applicant would be required to add an additional 2 spaces. The site was maxed out with regard to parking at the time that we did the application. So in lieu of those 2 spaces, what we have asked for is to include one of the apartments or dwelling units that's part of the 2nd floor of the structure, or there's also a basement component, that would be dedicated to employees that would be part of the rental space on the 1st floor. And that is essentially the application, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Great, thank you, Paul. Board members? Barry.
Thank you. Through you to Mr. Santos. Just could you kind of help me flesh out a little bit the personal services component that we're looking at here, especially in light of the waiver for the parking spaces? I just want to get a feel for what kind of activity are we looking at
Well,
on the side.
Okay, I mean, under personal services, I think it could be a variety. It's kind of there's a variety of issues under the zoning code. It could be a nail salon. It could be any type of component that wasn't strictly offices. So it would be a component where you potentially have where an office component would be somebody who came in the morning, left in the afternoon. The personal services may mean you would have people that would be coming in on a regular basis, basically under whatever the definition under your definition of personal services. And Megan or Billy, maybe I don't have the code in front of me, what the definition of personal services are, but it's any number of type of retail, Barry. And I think there we have it right there.
And that just kind of goes to where I just want to raise a little awareness here that it could mean that with the parking spaces, there's a high degree of utilization of the parking spaces, and especially as people are waiting for turnover with that, and it all depends too upon how many seats, for instance, are being offered in that personal service space. So through you to Megan, I just want to make sure that you have a feeling of confidence that the number of spaces with everything else that's going on there in relation to that will be somewhat functional. I know it's an MCD and we can always go back if it's not functioning, but anyways, please.
Yeah, and I think it's my understanding, at least in conversations with Paul as the applicant's representative, that the employee housing units will be occupied by, or the ones that are allocated to this business will be occupied by the employees of that business. So I know the planning board has recently used that as justification to grant parking waivers where it kind of double counts the parking spaces, if you will.
Yeah, and I noticed the inclusion of the NRTA passes too, which is always good for that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Barry.
Meg, do we need to add into the conditions something to do with the housing units? As far as their use, limiting them to employees or year-round housing?
I don't have the original decision handy. So let me look that up and get back to you in just a moment.
Okay, perfect. John?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to point out too, with the revolving, I guess, parking there, you're going to have people that are living there that are obviously going to be parking at night. During the day, they'll be leaving, so there'll be some extra free spaces. Also, Amelia Drive, which eventually will get a makeover. I believe there's going to be parking that's going to be available on the street. So there will be some spaces, extra spaces. So I think this would work the way it's having a mixed use type of atmosphere over there. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other board members before we open it up to the public? All right, let's, do we have anyone in the public, Billy?
No, there are no hands raised.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Great. Motion made by John, seconded by Nat. John?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll make a
Oh,
motion to
We're not done yet, Paul.
Oh,
make a motion to
That's my move.
approve the applicant's request with the 3 findings and 3 conditions noted by staff.
Second.
Can I just time it quick? Meg,
Yep.
did you have a chance to look?
Yeah, thank you.
So I did look at it quickly. The initial MCD decision did not contemplate restricting the apartment units. I know that has been a condition when you're using that to justify a parking waiver. I'm just thinking about the one on, I think the intersection of Forest Ave and Old South Road is where that that thought process was most recently used. I'm not sure how that may impact the other 3 units in this, or Paul, how many units are going to be allocated to this business? So that's something you all would have to discuss. To my knowledge, I'm not aware of other units on Amelia Drive with that restriction. But again, you know, sometimes it's a larger part of the conversation when you're granting parking waivers and using the employee unit as justification to do so. So you all would have to kind of discuss that.
If I could, Megan, would it be appropriate for me to speak again through the chair?
Please, Paul.
So just as part of the application, I'll just read. It says, as part of the amendment request, the applicant will set aside 1 dwelling unit for employee occupancy in lieu of providing the additional 2 parking spaces required by the addition of the retail store or services amendment to the application. So we've included that commitment in our application.
Okay. And we should memorialize that in a condition, correct? Meg?
Yeah, you can restrict that. I think it would completely be within the scope to restrict that unit to year-round or peak season employee housing.
Okay, so what do we do with the motion on the table?
So I could add that to my motion because I never actually finished, Dave.
Oh, good.
So
I'm sorry, John.
No, that's okay. So all we're doing is adding, aside from my motion to approve the applicant's request, the 3 findings and not only the 3 conditions, but the 4th condition added that would state that the 1 unit set aside for employee workforce or year-round designation, if that's correct in the term.
I think that works, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's my motion.
Are you done now, John?
I think so. Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, great. Motion made by John, seconded by Nat. John?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Now, thank
you. Thank you, Paul. All right. I think Nat's going to recuse on this gas.
Yep.
Island Gas LLC, 11 Industry Road. We're back to Dan Malloy. Welcome, Dan.
Hello again. So Dan Malloy for the applicants, Island Energy or Island Gas over at 11 Industry Road. Again, a fairly straightforward application. So we're asking for an MCD amendment to actually propose or ask that you have us put in employee housing. So in this application, we initially filed the application looking to do 2 apartments, but with a recent zoning change that was Megan pointed out, we're actually switching that now to a duplex. So we're looking to put a duplex in the southern corner of the property adjacent to an existing driveway. Yeah. So no new driveway access, use an existing driveway for parking and access, sidewalks around the building. Fenced off for security reasons. Some of the security fencing around the property will be changed accordingly, so the unit's outside the fence zone. Other than that, it's a simple, straightforward duplex for inclusionary housing for employee use only. We've looked at the conditions that the staff and the staff report have no problem with those. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Dan, as always. Board members, Meg, do I need to activate someone here? Steve, you with us?
Yep.
Perfect.
Here.
Great, thank you. Board members, questions, comments?
Question, Mr. Chair. Being that this is a MCD and there's a employee housing duplex, et cetera, is there any need or requirement as far as a water test? I know the location, being that close to the airport, I don't know if that's a necessity or not. If Dan can answer that, if he knows.
I can answer that. Town water.
Excellent, thank you. Done.
Any other questions before we go to public, guys?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, Steve.
Hey, Dan, have you had fire take a look at this yet?
Fire department, to my knowledge, has not looked at it yet, but we have looked at it. If what you're getting at is proximity to the tanks and setback requirements, we have looked at all the code requirements in terms of proximities, and we definitely exceed those. But the fire department, I expect, will get a chance to look at this prior to a building permit.
Yeah, it looked like that you got safe distances. I was just kind of curious. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Billy, do we have anyone in the public interested in speaking?
No hands are raised.
All righty. I would entertain a motion on that.
Motion to close the public hearing, sir.
Thank you, Barry. Joe, did you second? Okay, great. Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. On to the merits.
I'll make a motion at this point that we approve the project with the findings and conditions as listed in by staff.
Second.
Great. Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. 9 Hinsdale's continued. Welcome back, Nat. We are on to 72 Cato Lane.
Mr. Chair, I must recuse myself from this one.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And I need to name someone, correct, Meg? No, I don't on this. Okay, great.
Because this is a subdivision, so an alternate cannot be activated.
All right. Great. Dan, representing this for us.
Dan Malloy for the applicant again.
Welcome.
So I'll start it out, well, real simple. So 72 Cato Lane, existing oversized property. The owners are looking to do a 2-lot subdivision. And the end goal here is to do a rear lot subdivision, which if you're interested in moving forward with this application, that would follow on the January meeting with a rear lot special permit. So this proposal is for 2 lots as an approval required subdivision with a road proposed. So you've got lots 1 and 2, and then lot 3 is the roadway lot. The lots have access to water and sewer, so we're not anticipating any septic systems or wells on the property, regardless of which direction the application were to go. So we're asking the board to consider approving a two-lot approval required subdivision as simply as proof that two lots are feasible, so we can then commence to move forward with the rear lot special permit. We have reviewed the conditions in the staff report, have no problems with any of the ones provided.
Great, thank you. Board members. Seems pretty straightforward. Let's open this up to the public. Billy?
Nope, no one has their hands raised.
Ready? Entertain a motion?
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Great. Motion made by Nat, seconded by Joe. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So again, we're gonna see this back next month as a rear lot if it's the board's pleasure to approve, correct?
Mhm.
Right. How would you like to proceed, gentlemen?
Motion to approve with findings and conditions.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep. Second.
Great. Motion made by Joe, seconded by Nat. Joe,
Aye.
Nat,
Aye.
Barry,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you. See you next month.
Yep.
All right, we are on to 58 Baxter Road.
I'm bringing over Arthur Reed and Will Stevens right now.
Right.
Hey, you ready for me, Mr. Chairman?
I am Arthur. Welcome.
Thank you. I represent the owner of 58 Baxter Road. My clients, who are members of the Hofstadter family, own this property, the property immediately to the south, and two properties on the east side of Baxter Road in different entities, but it's all the same family's property. And this is an application for a second curb cut on 58 Baxter Road. Right now, there is a cottage at 58 Baxter, which has a garage, and it's the southerly end of the lot, as you see it on the screen, with an existing driveway. The cottage is very close to the street, so there's only a short distance in between the street line and the garage at the front of the property. What we are trying to do here is to get cars off the street. The family has grown in recent years. The daughters have gotten married, have children, and when they have guests and so on, there's a considerable need for parking, which at the present time winds up being provided to some extent on Baxter Road, to a considerable extent on Baxter Road, actually. And considering that, they would like to get the cars off the street, which I think is in everybody's best interests, and therefore want to put a area for what basically is overflow parking for the activities of their houses on the northerly end of the 58 Baxter Road lot. As you can see, the layout with the existing cottage and driveway doesn't really lend itself to being able to use that driveway to serve a parking area up on the northern portion of the lot. And therefore, we're proposing to put in a driveway entrance and then a parking area, which probably won't be a terribly well-defined parking area. The original plan that you have there is actually not the current plan. We submitted a revised plan to Megan on Friday, and I don't know whether you have it and could put that up, Billy, or not. But we're actually not proposing to pave the driveway. We'd have the blocks at the entrance, but the main area would basically remain as grass, and the parking would be within that area. And again, since it's not going to be used for parking all the time, wouldn't need to be graveled. Again, we think that what we're doing here is a benefit to the neighborhood in terms of just getting the cars off the street. There we go. That's the current plan. Again, showing the Belgian block apron 10 feet deep. We're in agreement with all of the proposed conditions that were contained in the staff report. And it shows basically the area where there would be the parking spaces. There would be a little path coming up from that toward the cottage on 58. And I think that's pretty much what we have to present, subject to your questions. I believe that Will Stevens, who is the contractor working with the Ostretta family, is on the call as well, although I don't see him on the screen. Yeah, I see him. Okay, here we go. In case you have any questions for either Will or me, he's on. And there we are.
Thank you, Arthur. Board members, questions? I have a question, and maybe Will could answer this. It looks like that there's a good amount of vegetation on this lot, correct?
There's a lot of vegetation there. So what the idea is that it's actually the lowest and thinnest vegetation is in the area we're talking about clearing. So you really, the idea is to keep the tall, full stuff on the road like we've done developing other lot down the street, so you don't see into the lot of them, you know.
Perfect. That was my question, Will. Much appreciated. And yeah, John.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I guess a question to either Arthur or Will. So is the intent here, I see that we're creating another secondary curb cut here. Is it, will there be another building on this in the future? Are there plans to, or is there absolutely no plan to build a second? And I only bring it up because it's, you know, in the past, we've had issues with second curb cuts. If we're not eliminating one, if we're replacing it, that's one thing. But if we're keeping it, and I do see the merits in off-street parking, obviously, and creating that space, and I'm happy with that. But I'm just wondering if there's going to be any future building with a secondary building. So we're actually we're doing the opposite effect. Instead of asking for a second curb cut with parking, we're actually putting the parking first and then putting the building.
Right. There are no plans at this time, and I don't anticipate any in the foreseeable future to build another dwelling on that lot. And that's specifically why we're putting it there. There's another lot, 56 Baxter Road to the south, on which dwelling has recently been built. And there may be another one placed on that lot as well. But the reason we're putting it up at this northerly end is that this is the area where we think it's least likely in the future that there would be any additional structures built.
Would there be any opposition to eliminating the first curb cut?
Yeah, because there's a garage there, and it serves the house, the cottage there, and it serves its existing purpose. We would bend the driveway off if it were a deeper driveway, but that driveway is right out of the street, and the result would be that you would have it immediately take a right angle after you came in that way in order to get up to the new area. And we certainly don't want to give up the ability to put vehicle in the garage.
Okay, thank you.
Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Reed. So the ACC, whenever someone puts in the pool, as you know, they have a rule that vegetation would stay in perpetuity. I don't want to put that much of a restriction on there, but until something develops or something changes, is there something we could put in to the findings that says that the vegetation along the street would remain until a new application came in or something along those lines? Would you be amenable to that?
don't have any problem with that at all because, again, part of the idea of laying it out this way is to enable the vegetation along the street to stay there. You know, we don't want to look at a field full of cars any more than the public does, and therefore having the existing wall of vegetation along the street would, you know, broken only by the driveway curb cut, is exactly the way we foresee it as being on an ongoing basis.
Perfect. We'll just add that to the merits. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, add that to the conditions, right, Joe? No other board members. I'm gonna open this up to the public.
And there are no hands raised, Mr. Chair.
All righty. Whoops, my hand's raised.
This is a new record.
Motion to close the public.
I'm looking to slow this meeting down a little, Nat, okay?
Second.
I know.
Second.
All right, wait, who made the, Nat, did you make the motion?
No, I did. I did.
All right, and Barry seconded? Okay.
Yes.
Joe?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. To the merits.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion at this point that we approve the application for force with finding conditions, plus I think we had talked about one more tonight that we were going to add in.
Screening, keeping the,
What was that?
the
Yeah.
screening along the street.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Motion made by Barry, seconded by Joe. Barry?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Nat?
Aye.
John?
I'm an aye.
Aye. That was an aye, right, John? Correct, great.
Yes, affirmative.
Make sure it was clear. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wish we had been proceeding at this same rate of speed at the meeting 2 months ago, which I was attending at 4 o'clock in the morning from the hotel room in Corsica.
We
that-
know you. We
Arthur,
know
it
you.
goes through. If that ever happens again, you need to let us know. That was
I didn't
for
want,
us.
I didn't want to ask for any special privileges. I'm the one who chose to go on vacation.
If anybody deserves them, it would be you. So please,
Absolutely.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Please.
Arthur, we take the sum result and we average it out afterwards. So
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Arthur. On to Nantucket Airport Commission, Town of Nantucket, 10 Sun Island Road.
Mr.
Rick?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just for the record at this point, this is also before the Capital Program Committee as well too. So I think in the interest, I'm going to recuse myself from this one, just to be on the safe side here.
Okay, Barry. Better be safe than have it blow up in our face.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Stephen.
if you activate an alternate, I would recuse.
Okay, so that would be John. You will be sitting on this, Kitchener. Please.
Can I just state something for the record?
Don't you, Joe?
My mother, Jeanette Hoffman, is on the airport commission, and my brother works for the FAA. But we've had no conversations about this, or do I have any gain of this? So just want to, but I will be staying.
I appreciate
Unless
the
Mr. Modet wants to kick me off.
I appreciate the openness and the clarification. Mr. Bodett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Rick Bodett for the applicant, Nantucket Memorial Airport. With me tonight is Ryan Maxwell from Brecken Engineering. And I guess two things. First of all, I hope you won't slow it down too much, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleasantly surprised by the pace. And the second thing is I was coming over as a panelist and I didn't hear what Barry said. So
Barry says it's before the Capital Committee, which he sits on, and to be safe, he wanted to recuse.
Oh, okay. And then Stephen recused as well?
He did, and I'm not sure what his reason was, but
Same reason.
he's on Capital.
Yeah, same reason.
Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Again, Rick Bodett for the applicant. The property that we're talking about tonight is 10 Sun Island Road. It's a 105-acre parcel located in multiple zoning districts. There's a little bit of C-Tech, I think, a little bit of CN, and most of the bulk of the parcel is in Lug 3. The portion of the property we are discussing tonight is the southwest portion, which is entirely within the commercial neighborhood district. What's before you tonight is a special permit for neighborhood employee housing. The applicant is proposing to construct a single structure housing 9 bedrooms, 2 dwelling units. And you can see up on the upper right corner is the CN district that we're talking about. It is on Nobody Farm Road, and we're proposing to access the site on Nobody Farm Road. I'll get to that in a moment. As I mentioned, the property will, the structure will have 2 actual dwelling units. The first is really, you know, sort of a 1-bedroom apartment, separated from the rest of the structure, which houses 8 more bedrooms with shared kitchen and living area. It is a single-story structure with a full basement proposed. There's nothing proposed in the basement this time. You can see from the site plan that we have provided adequate parking, neighborhood employee housing, or dormitories. Typically require 1 parking space per bedroom. This has 9 bedrooms. We've shown you 9 parking spaces on the site plan from Brecken Engineering. We did also provide a standard management plan that we provided to the board in the past, relative to management of the building, making sure everything is cleanly and managed properly by a person on site. We have asked for 2 waivers in this application. The first is an allowance for an additional driveway access. There actually are already 2 driveway accesses that pre-exist the provision of zoning bylaw prohibiting that. We're asking for a 3rd. And the reason for that is we do want to access the property off of Nobody Farm Road. We are also asking for a waiver of the driveway access requirements in terms of the width of the driveway access. That maximum for a residential lot is 15 feet, I believe, and we're requesting a 22-foot driveway access, as well as a wider radius at its intersection with Nobody Farm Road. The purpose for that waiver is twofold. First of all, we know that the applicant, and I think many people know that the applicant does desire to provide additional housing on this site at some point in the near future. Near future meaning the next few years. And that 22-foot wide driveway really, we're hoping someday will act as a roadway potentially. There are a couple of options for the applicant in the future, whether it be A&R or a creation of AR subdivision lots, which I think will be necessary given, particularly since, on a particular lot, you're only allowed 2 dwelling units, you're only allowed 2 dwelling units in employee housing. So separating out to separate lots, I think will help alleviate that problem in the future. We don't have a specific plan yet, but we know we want to add some more housing, particularly a duplex would probably be the next thing that we put on this lot at some point. The rounding waiver we're asking for, again, is at the intersection that allows emergency vehicles to properly access the site a little better as well. So that is our application. I'm happy to answer any questions you all have, but this is certainly something that I think the airport has been looking forward to for some time, and will provide some much needed housing for them. So happy to answer any questions you guys have. I think Dave, you're muted, I think.
You're muted, Dave. Yeah.
My phone was ringing. Sorry, John, can you hear me?
There we go. Yes.
John Kitchener or John?
John Trudell was up first.
Hold on. Okay, the question to Rick, well, not even a question, a statement. The 22-foot wide road, I see the future in that, potential for the build out of more employee housing. I also wanted to note that where it intersects with the bike path, it's probably better to have a nice view, especially if there's going to be more housing there and maybe some traffic. So in that, instead of that narrow driveway going through where there's a lot of activity on that bike path, the wider one makes, I think, a little bit more sense for safety wise. And noting the size of this unit, I'm guessing that it's because of cost. When you have one larger structure instead of creating a bunch of smaller ones. And the only reason why I even bring up that is because I know that with the airport, they're seasonal, a lot of employees. So it would just make sense if maybe there was a smaller unit there, so that if there were a couple of multiple smaller units, then maybe at the high time of the summer when you have the most employees, then you can utilize both buildings. And in the winter, maybe when there's less staff, then you can close down one of the buildings, winterize it, and then use the other one just for efficiency. But I understand the size, the scope of the building, and usually it's from cost. It's easier to build one structure than two separate structures with all utilities and equipment. So those are my only comments, not really so much of criticism. I think we knew this is coming, and it's probably severely needed anytime we talk about any kind of employee housing year-round, whether it be workforce for the summer for businesses or for town or airport commission. So I think this is something in the right direction. We'll see how it goes after public hearing, but thank you very much, Rick.
Great. John Kitchener.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Not a question, just as a relatively new boy, a comment. Wouldn't it be great if we saw a few more of these every few months? So that's all. I think it's a real, as John said, a real step in the right direction, and I hope we see more. Thank you.
Great, John. Thank you. Anyone else have questions before we go to the public? Great. Have anyone in the public with their hand up, Billy?
Yeah, I'm going to promote Lisa Ruggiano right now.
Okay, great. Welcome, Lisa. If you can hear me, you're muted. You need to unmute.
Yes, I can. Sorry, I was just getting everything signed up there that I could click on the mute and the camera. So
perfect. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And it's possible that my comments will make more sense for the public hearing, as you mentioned. But my husband and I are the owners of 14B Park Circle, so we're the development that abuts the airport housing that's being built. And I just have some questions / concerns about the size this is becoming. It's significantly larger than what was proposed to the residents of Park Circle back in May. There was one building that at the time we were told 9 residents would be there. I also have some concerns with the size of the driveway now, cutting across the bike path that all of the residents, as well as Strong Wings, uses quite a bit. And we were assured at the time that there would be minimal impact to both the forestation that's behind us as well as the bike path. And this just looks like it's getting really large. I certainly understand the need for airport housing, employee housing, but I'm just wondering how big this project is going to get, because it definitely looks like it's taken on a much larger scope than what we were originally presented. And several of us had concerns. The other issue is the traffic on Nobodere Farm Road. As I'm sure you're all aware, it's horrific most of the year, particularly in the summer. And I know that, there's been a proposal to make a rotary at the end of Milestone because of the magnitude of traffic. So the more housing we put in that particular area, obviously, the more traffic that there's going to be on Nobodere Farm Road.
Great. Elisa, I just want to point out, and your concerns are real. It is 9 bedrooms, and I think that's how they represented, but 18 people. So I think that's I can understand the concern. 9 parking spaces, and in in the management plan, they are not allowing anyone to park their car there unless they have permission. And so
Okay.
only 9 spaces, I think that's going to limit the traffic. But I will let either Rick or Ryan address the rest of your concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and actually, I should thank Lisa for reminding me to mention something, because the 18 persons is the limit allowed for neighborhood employee housing
Okay.
in the zoning bylaw, and typically that's what we apply for. My client has told me that they expect to have 9 people there generally. My advice to them was to apply for the limit under the bylaw, so that they don't have to come back to you and ask for more if they need to put an extra person in there occasionally. So, the fact is, we want it to be flexible. We need it to be flexible. I think the reality is they are not actually expecting 18 people to be there, much less in fact. The second thing I just wanted to mention is, with regards to the traffic, I think we all will probably agree the worst time on Nobody Farm Road, because I've experienced it personally, is, sometime around 8:15 when Strong Wings in the summer is being, is their drop-off time, roughly. And so the airport shift change is at 7 a.m. And I think that will help greatly, and also at 3 p.m. So, at 3 p.m., certainly could have some traffic on Nobody Farm as well, because I think that's about the pickup time. But certainly nothing that I think will affect it too much, because I'm told that about half of their employees typically use bikes, do not have cars. So, we would expect, maybe 4 or 5 cars there on occasion. We're not really sure, but certainly we have the parking for it. We don't think it will overly burden Nobody Farm Road, particularly with this particular request. I think that there certainly is, to Lisa's point, there is a desire to have more housing there. So that's something that I think that the board will sort of get another bite at the apple at. If we come in for, say, an AR subdivision or something else that requires more relief. But for now, this is all we're applying for. This is the immediate need that they need to get accomplished here to get some housing as soon as possible.
Right. Lisa, did you have any other concerns or questions?
Just one, Mr. Chair, if I might ask again on the impact of widening the driveway road to the vegetation. Our house actually is at the very end of Nobody Farm Road, and we have the trees behind us. And originally we were told that there would be minimal trees removed. So does the new plan by widening the road mean that there will be more trees taken out? That, because I've seen currently what's taken out, there's not much, but I'm assuming that's only preliminary.
Great. Either Ryan or Rick Ryan. I'm sorry, Rick. Go ahead.
So, all I can say is more. I assume more vegetation will be taken down than with a 15-foot wide driveway, of course. But again, that creates better visibility going across the bike path, obviously. And I also want to add that I think, based on some of the concerns that have been raised by some residents in Park Circle, I know that I've been told that the airport was mindful about particularly where this bigger building is, and you can kind of see that it's pretty far away from, I think Park Circle is on the other side of this bike path to the south there. Yes. So this particular building is pretty far away. It's going to be 400 or 500 feet away. You do see that the clearing that you see closest to Park Circle is not proposed at the moment, but again, that's probably where a smaller structure would go in the future, hopefully. So I do know they plan to keep some vegetation, obviously, on that bike path. They don't want people looking into their property any more than we want to look at anyone else. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Lisa. Do we have anyone else in the public, Billy?
We do. I am promoting Philip Cox.
Great. Welcome, Philip.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me? I am the owner's project management representative for the airport. I'd just like to say we did listen to the concerns of the Park Circle residents at the meeting in May. Originally, we had the dormitory on the south side of that driveway that was shown, and we heard their concerns. So we moved the larger dormitory building to the north side of the road. As Rick was saying, we wanted to make it as safe as possible. So the widening of the road will allow us to do that. And the limit of disturbance that's shown is not changed from our original meetings with Park Circle in May. And that's about it.
Great, Philip. Thank you. More screening makes for better neighbors.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I think Phil and Ethan just reminded me of something very important, is that, we had to get environmental approval for MISA and MIPA, and we have a limit of disturbance. And so nothing outside, I think that plan you see is the limit of disturbance that we have for. So we can't disturb any trees outside that limit. So I think that will address Lisa's concern relative to the vegetation. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else in the public, Billy?
No more hands are raised.
Great. Gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by John, seconded by Joe. John.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
And John Kitchener.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. To the merits. Before we go there, I have one question. Has Ed Pesci had an opportunity to review this, Megan?
This type of application is not something that Ed would typically review. If they were to come back with some sort of subdivision or maybe something more extensive in the future, that he would review it at that point.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. I don't think we had any additional add-ons as presented, so I'll make a motion to approve with the 2 findings and the 3 conditions recommended by staff.
Great. We have a second?
Second.
Motion made by John, seconded by Nat. John.
Aye.
Nat.
Aye.
John Kitchener.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
You too. I don't know, guys. I'm uncomfortable. I'm very uncomfortable with the length of this meeting. It's not what I signed up for, all right? Okay. So we have the MP and EDC enabling legislation on for other business, and I just wanted to take this opportunity for the board. I'm not looking for decisions, but just discussions about membership and how and what that looks like and what the terms of that would be and so on. Does that make sense to you, Barry? You're muted, Barry. You're muted, Barry.
Yes, I am. Oh, by the way, we're holding you to this new time frame from here on in. I'm not letting you off the hook. I would agree with you, but if you'll allow me, I just have a slightly different view on this.
I will allow you, but remember the time frame.
Let's say it's 5:30. I can line up about 3 hours worth of stuff for you. You'll all beat me afterwards. but that's
Forks and
okay.
torches at your door, Barry.
There we go. Now, listen, I saw this on the agenda. I was probably a little surprised by it, because I was expecting that with this and the other the other potential member organizations that we're looking at through the NP and EDC, that we would actually kind of have full discussion with all the commissioners present at that meeting, as opposed to us coming to some type of foregone potential conclusions or possibilities and then bringing them forward. I think, to me, and hopefully this will happen with the rest of those organizations too, I think that's where you're going to get the best concept of what ideas are floating out between all the individual commissioners, and maybe from there, we can move ahead with that. But that's kind of how I envision this process running, and I was a little surprised that this was actually on the agenda in this format to see us starting to make decisions independent of the rest of the commissioners. So I would dearly love for us just to kind of move this off for now, and like I said, have the full-fledged dialogue before the whole commission.
I don't disagree with you, Barry. But I do think that that a discussion amongst us, not binding, of course, I mean, it is the NP and EDC's decision, but I mean, I don't think it hurts for us as a board to just have discussions about what that membership looks like and what effect it has on us as a board. I'm not looking for any, we're having this many, they're serving that long. I just think a broad discussion, if that makes sense to you, Barry.
Like I said, I think I hear you, but I'm a little concerned that that this is spilled over into the other potential applicants that we're looking for out there. And what I don't want to do is use this as the foundation under which to justify how other applicants or other potential boards are going to be looking at it. I don't want to enter into that fray of oh, well, we already had some discussions at this point, and this is what we view is going to happen here. I think that really concerns me because, again, I don't think you're getting the full input with things, and it looks like, to a certain extent, that may be more of a bone of contention and a source of friction, where it's looked like they're going to have that ability just to say, well, why didn't you listen to anything we said? I thought that was the understanding here. So that's why I'm really
let's go around the table, Barry, and see if other members feel the same way.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And thank you for listening.
And if they do, Barry, I will honor that and we will push it. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. John.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking at this, I understand the intent, Dave, and I appreciate, because the makeup of the NPDC is, the planning board is a large contributor to that board, being that presently we have 5 members. But I kind of am listening to Barry, and I take his point. I don't necessarily, after having an open public meeting for multiple meetings and many hours, especially the last one that we had, I don't know if we need to have a separate discussion about that on the planning board that is separate from the public hearing or meeting that we had with the MPDCD. So I know what you were trying to do, and to kind of enlighten and educate maybe the people tuning into the planning board of what the makeup and components are of what we're discussing at the MPDC. However, it is a public hearing. It's open to everybody. So if there was an interest in what's happening, I think the public should be tuning into that particular board. So I appreciate your trying to open it up and clarifying some things from our particular board, but I kind of am siding with Barry in this particular case.
100% respect that, John.
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, think that the reason when I read this, I was thinking that, you know, some people only follow the planning board and some people only follow the NPDC, but, you know, anyone that only is watching us, we had a very robust conversation about makeup and everyone participated, and I thought it was very thoughtful. You know, everyone did their homework, which was great to see, and I still think we still have some homework to do, but I really don't know what I could add to from that meeting, other than, you know, just to let people know that a lot of work has gone into it. And Madam Chair, Ms. Longacre, reached out to us and made sure that we were doing our homework and that we gave in our thoughts, and everything was out on paper and for the public to view. So I think that I like the way it's going. I'm not, you know, I don't think it's going to, I don't know much more I could add to that right now. So
listen, I think that last meeting was probably one of the most productive NP and EDC meetings I've ever been a part of.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think a lot of great work was done. And I'm going to take the hint from the majority of the board that this is not something that they want to discuss at this level and want to hold it for the MP and EDC.
Well, Dave, if you had put this on, do you have anything that you wanted to share?
No, no, not necessarily. I just wanted to have a broader discussion. Yeah. And it seems like everyone feels strongly that that discussion belongs at the NP and EDC, and I'm fine with that. Matt?
You know,
Matt's
just
like
kind of
contortioning there.
I'm gonna, well, I'm just like, can't believe that we might finish this meeting so fast. But no, I think the only thing is the 3 versus 5, which we covered at the NPDC meeting, almost like we were at a planning board meeting at the same time, which is kind of what it's supposed to be like in some ways. And I think we covered it. I think if we hadn't got that work done, then we'd be maybe talking about that here now might be more important, but we fixed it. I mean, Joe brought it up. I didn't really want to bring it up. And then he brought it up and it was easy to talk about. And I think we're in the right place with the results of that last meeting. It was unbelievable. That was actually really, I'm never going to forget that meeting. Actually, that was really good. And I think we did it, Dave. So, but I do appreciate you putting it on. I mean, I can see why. I just think that we did the work of the part that matters to the planning board at the NPDC meeting.
Okay. Listen, I respect my fellow board members and clearly that's your all's opinion, and I'm not going to jam it down your throat. I 100% respect that. And so we can choose to just move on from there.
Yep.
Move on to celebrate Megan's victory and her homework being turned in.
But Dave, in like that sense of going, sorry, Megan, not to we've been accused of having an iron fist. We've been accused of not being.
Not us, I think one person, but that's
well, after his comment that he just pointed me out, I think I better close my curtains. No, but I think that we just proved and shown that there is no ego. We're fine if we go to 5 down to 3. I mean, you know, if it's the betterment of Nantucket, that's what we need to do, and that's what we've done. And I'm fine whether someone's an alternate or not an alternate or whatever. I think that's really important for us to show that, you know, we do want to move this forward. We do want to stay relevant. We do want to stay the trends of Nantucket and what's going to be coming up. And I think that's really important that we were able to do that and understand. And even, you know, there's 5 against 7, so you can't say we had a majority, and I think that that's an unfair statement to pack on us. And I really feel that just going into that meeting, there was a lot of conversation about that. And I think there was a really positive meeting. And yes, it was a lot longer than this one. And there was a lot of great opinions brought forward. And I think even Wendy was talking about, well, if I'm not here, who could be there? Who would be replacing me? I think there's a lot of positive, and that was Mrs. Hudson. But I think there's a lot of positive things that will come from that meeting. So if anyone's really concerned, they should watch it. And, you know, be there for the next meeting and add any input that they think we missed or insight, I think would be important. So thank you.
Okay, great. 100% agree. With that said, I would entertain a motion.
All right, back to Meg. Congratulations. And a motion to.
Yeah, Meg. Woo!
Yeah, Meg, thank you. We
Thank you.
We're all so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thank you very
That's
much.
great.
Nice job, Meg.
Nice job, Meg.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. I'll get my life back again.
There you go.
Now I can spend more time working.
And see, that's why it's important for this meeting to be short, so you can crack open the bottle of champagne as soon as we're done.
Well, Barry, you can make it short right now by making a motion.
I will
already made a motion.
I will gladly, sir, make that motion that we adjourn at this point. Unless the chair feels guilty and would like to continue for another 3 hours.
I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Perfect. Barry.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Don't sound so sad, guys. John.
If I said no, would that?
You should.
No, I'll say an aye.
And Nat the Iron Fist Lowell.
Aye. Yes, aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Everyone, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Nice
Good
job.
job.
Good meeting. Thank you very much, all.
You
Good night.
guys are the very best. Thank you.